Om Shanti. Welcome all of you to the Values Workshop on Compassion today. And before we begin, let's spend a few moments in silence, reflecting on this value of compassion. There are many instances in life where I have been compassionate towards people around, and also people around have shown compassion towards me. So today from this workshop, let me try to dive deep into this value more and connect myself with the ocean of compassion, the Supreme Being, so that I never feel exhausted and always experience that my heart is overflowing with compassion. So once again, participants will keep joining a bit late as well, but thank you all of you, around 50 of us here. So thank you for joining on time. And we would like to tell you a few things about compassion before we begin the workshop. The first thing is, in India at the Brahma Kumaris, we have once a year we practice a particular theme on which all our service areas are affected, and we do service in various fields through that particular theme which is chosen every year. So this time the theme is spiritual empowerment for loving kindness and compassion. I'll repeat, spiritual empowerment for loving kindness and compassion. So in lieu of that, we are taking a workshop today, and we are so fortunate to have Sister Dipty with us. She's already joined us, but she'll be speaking about her sharings after 1 hour after we finish the workshop exercises. And second thing is, we are approaching the third week, of June, where it reminds us all the time of our first administrative head, whom we affectionately used to call Mama. So it's Mama's Remembrance Day happening on 24th of June. So we dedicate this workshop also to our dear Mama, who was an embodiment of compassion all the time in her dealings with all the Brahmin children in the yajna. So with this, I would like to just show you that we have done these workshops so far, last time being on unity. And before I move on to, I think I'll just stop sharing and just introduce our facilitators first. So we have with us, as usual, Sister Anu joining all the way from Vancouver, West Coast. We have Sister Pooja joining from the central part of India, Nagpur. And we have all our dear facilitators. I'm not naming them. If you want to say a quick hi, just wave your hands and show all of them. Maybe you can on your videos. Okay, so let
Facilitators,
me
you mean?
just, yeah. So
All
let me
done.
just share the screen and go on to the first ice-breaking video as we always. So I'm sharing the screen and we'll see what insights you gain from the video. I'll just play it, make it full screen, bear with me. Right. So let me just stop here. Okay, so if I can just request all of you all to write down your sharings in the chat box. Oh, I can see something in French. Right. So if Sister Micheline wants to translate it, we won't take oral sharings in this quick icebreaker sharings. Yeah, so Pooja sister is saying compassion is contagious. Yes. So is anyone inspired to be compassionate from this? Of course, yes. I think many people have joined a bit late. Sorry, you all missed the first part of it. Okay. The boy was daydreaming, absent minded during action. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the boy or the man, what did that old lady teach him? Probably. With her touch. That's what he was looking at, his hand and fingers all the time after that. Oh, you all are very silent today. So if someone wants to quickly maybe unmute and share as well. Harvinder's sister is saying compassion is contagious. She's agreeing with Sister Pooja. Okay. Okay, Olga's sister is saying yes. The old lady opened the brother's eyes, yes, because he was initially quite indifferent to many other things in life. Okay, so I just missed it. Fulfilling experience. And when I say Brahma Kumari's Vancouver, it's Anu's sister. Okay. Compassionate acts helping others brings happiness and fulfillment. Okay. Right. So it's old lady used her body language to teach the life lesson of volunteering. Okay, right. Right. So I think all of you, these small videos, animated ones, we think it's very childish for children, but they really give us a big moral science lecture. These 1 or 2 minute clips. So it tells a lot, entire video. So I think thank you for your sharings. Natalia's sister has said something about in Spanish. I think hope the translations are working. And last sharing I'll take. Kiran is saying the transfer of pure energy of God's love to the boy. Okay, right. Okay, so with this, let's move on to the first activity and over to Sister Pooja. Hopefully, yeah, you are there. I thought you have suddenly knocked. Okay, so we are there in case if anything
Yeah.
happens.
Thank you. Thank you, Manoj Bhai, and thank you everybody for your insights on the video. Those of you who were there last week for Brother Charlie's talk on compassion, he did share a lot of stories of people who are compassionate. So we'll just go a step further from that and reflect, just a minute, reflect on an incident when you were compassionate towards someone, and then identify a few qualities associated with your compassionate act. So it can be something really small, like maybe sharing water or food with a stranger, maybe helping out a stray animal by taking him to a vet. It could be anything, but anything little that is compassionate, and identifying a few qualities. So you have about a minute and then we'll take the sharings. Okay, I'm hoping you all have taken that down. So let me just stop sharing so that I can see you all. Is there anybody who would like to on your video and unmute and speak? Otherwise, you're free to, of course, type in the chat box as well. And Deepak Bhai will take down the sharings on the PPT. Anybody would like to go ahead? Any compassionate act of yours towards somebody?
I would like to say something.
Yes, sure. Please go ahead.
Yes, I am working. I'm an education assistant working with a school with special needs children. Without compassion, it's not going to be useful. So I need to be compassionate to work with special needs children.
Your job, if I may call it, is as it is to do with compassion. But are there any qualities that you can identify that are related to compassion? What are the qualities that you need while you do your?
You have to be empathic, not sympathetic. Empathic.
Yes.
You
So
have to.
Yes, go ahead.
And there's always love. You have to have love.
Love
it's umbrella.
Yes. Yes, all the virtues stem from love. And one of the points that Brother Charlie made last week was empathy with a detached view. Don't be so empathetic that you are, completely into the feelings and emotions of that person, but be a little detached and still feel empathy. We have a chat box sharing. There is something in a different language, and then Kiran says selfless.
I can
Would
translate it's consideration,
I?
patience, and peace. It's very easy. I think
Okay,
it is Portuguese, if I'm
thank
right.
you. Consideration, patience, and peace. Would anybody like to share the story of compassion? Your story when you were compassionate. We are also having patience. There's empathy, cooperation, understanding. Rachna says. Deepak Bhai, I hope you're noting all that down. Any stories? Anybody? A compassionate story?
Sister Adriana, you want to share in English?
I don't see any virtual hands. If you have, are there any virtual hands as well? No.
Are you in the gallery view, Sister
Yes, I
Pooja?
am. Yes.
Okay, then it's yeah. There's no hand. You're right, but let be
Yeah.
in the gallery view to see. Yeah.
Can you translate that as well, Manoj Bhai? There's something again in the chat box in a different language.
I think Sister Claudia can do that. Espotinad. I don't know that.
I'm not sure. Okay, one of the translators
Yeah,
can help
Sister
me.
Claudia. Yeah, what is it?
I just arrived. What is the question?
No hablan en inglés. No hablan en inglés.
Rihanna is saying, what is it? We couldn't hear it properly.
Okay, Geeta Gupta says feeding the beggars is an act of compassion. I feel instead of giving money, I practice when I see them in the market area. Yes, that's any qualities associated with that. I can see generosity. Is there anything else? You can note down generosity, Deepak Bhai.
Does Om
Would anyone?
Shanti want to share? Sorry, I don't know the name. Om Shanti, the person with the video on the sister. Yeah. Uh, you have to unmute
You
first.
need to unmute.
Om Shanti. Good morning. My name is Vijay and I live in New York, upstate. I work for the Attorney General office and I volunteer on the EAP committee for the whole agency. It's like work that you have to do other than your normal day's work. And sometimes it gets overwhelming, but then I would sit and tell myself, this is my one way of serving others, even though I understand karma and whatever, I would take time out of like after work hours to get the EAP work done so that so many thousands of employees get the benefit of it. Sometimes you could get the thought that, you know, these people are grown people, they are making a lot of money, they have state benefits and whatever. You don't have to do all of this. But I know that these are souls in an age where people really still have needs. And
Yes.
all of the programs on this EAP is geared to like helping the soul within.
Thank
And
you.
that gives
Thank
me a lot, it gives me a lot of fulfillment to dedicate towards it. And yeah, you have to have commitment, you have to have that feeling of compassion for others, you have to really want to help.
Yes, thank you, sister. Thank you. Deepak Bhai, you could
Om
mention
Shanti.
Om Shanti. You could mention a feeling of commitment, and I also see selflessness. Brijpal Bhai, would you like to share? I can see you have unmuted yourself, and then maybe Balwinder Bhai.
Let me tell you one incident.
Yes, in short, please. We are running out of time.
Very-
Yes, please go
Yes,
ahead.
it is the year 66, 67 when I was studying at University of Roorkee. One friend of mine, a very close friend, came to me with a very grim face. I asked him what happened. He told, tomorrow is my sister's son's marriage and I have no shirt to wear, new shirt. I've got our old shirts. So I gave him my brand new shirt to him. And he was so pleased. After attending the function, he came back to me. This shirt was I was very much appreciated. And he wanted to give it back to me. I told him, it is yours now. You enjoy it.
How generous of you, Brijpal Bhai. Thank you for sharing that. Balwinder Bhai, what would you like to say?
Good morning, everyone, and Om Shanti. We do have on daily basis almost conflict, especially with family members, right? What happened in the past, I had a conflict with my sister and she was extremely angry and she stopped talking to me. So what I did, I was thinking, if she doesn't want to talk to me, why should I bother? Then I thought about you, but what is it you are teaching me? So this is excellent opportunity to put in practice, right? So for her birthday, I wish her happy birthday through texting, and I bake cake and I deliver to her home. And she's still not talking. But what I did, it gave me so much peace within my world.
Thank you. Thank you.
Qualities are love, forgiveness, compassion, connection, understanding.
Not expecting anything in return.
Thank you.
Right? Not expecting anything in return as well. Thank you so much, Deepak Bhai. Have you noted down everything? If we can just have a look at your sharings. Deepak Bhai, would you be sharing the
¿Hay alguien
PPT?
que me puede traducir del español a
Somebody would need to translate that, Adriana.
la
I'm
que me
sorry.
ayuda a traducir?
Oh, here's the
Okay.
sharings. Compassionate
Yo
acts.
trabajo con
Stories. Sorry. Maybe somebody could translate that into the chat box and I will note it down later. Compassionate acts, quite a few stories shared, feeding the beggars, volunteering, baking cake during birthday, not expecting anything in return, giving, sharing, selflessness, feeling of inner joy, patience, cooperation, lots and lots of qualities that came up with your sharings. Thank you so much. Let's just move on, maybe with a short meditation, Manoj Bhai.
Could I
Yeah, thank you.
interrupt if Adriana can speak quickly and later Olga sister can put it in the chat? If you have to share anything, sister, in a minute, you can share. Is it Spanish? I hope. Just will give a second of chance, I thought.
If Olga is busy, I can translate for her.
Okay.
Adriana, si usted quiere hablar, por favor, puede hablar que yo hago traducción.
Gracias. Yo trabajo con gente mayor. Soy instructora de gimnasia, pero trabajo con gente
Un
mayor.
poquito más devagar. Así.
Que yo trabajo con gente mayor.
Ajá.
O sea, soy instructora de gimnasia, trabajo con música, pero trabajo con gente mayor. La gente mayor necesita que la escuchen.
She's saying that
sucede a veces, no importa la historia, pero a veces me sucede que después de una clase o se le mueven las emociones un poquito, ¿no? La energía.
espera un poquito para traducir. Okay, she's saying that when she works with the people, older people, and then when she finishes the class, she feels the energy a little bit change. Okay, continue.
Thank you. Thank you for
I think
translating.
we don't have much time. Yeah. So
Yeah, no tenemos mucho tiempo. Que Adriana lo de otra vez. Okay.
She can put it in the chat box. You can let her know because we would love to have her sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nada, y hay veces que me ha sucedido que tuve que escuchar y después tuve que... lo hice con todo el amor, ¿no? La verdad que se necesita mucho amor, mucha empatía y
just try to say
uno
that.
se siente bien, ¿eh?
Just try to say it for those that we have to have a lot of empathy and also love. Okay,
Om
Adriana.
Shanti.
Gracias.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Sister Claudia. Manoj Bhai?
Yeah, so thank you so much. It's really nice to know being an international program here. Though we don't understand the language, but we do understand the feelings behind that. If you look at the face of the person, Sister Adriana, we can really see the compassion exuding from that face. So thank you so much, and I think this is the language of feelings which we need to start working on, because it is more subtle, going beyond sound and beyond the language barriers. So thank you so much, Sister Claudia, as well, for translating, and thank you, Sister Adriana, for sharing. Okay, so now, as Sister Pooja has already told you, that we'll be doing a very small meditation just to set the tone of going into the little bit of depths of compassion. You all have already spoken a lot about compassionate acts. So how are these acts possible from us? Because there is something inside us. The core of us is full of compassion. So let's try to explore that core which is full of compassion inside and also connect to the Supreme. So I'll just take you in a meditative mode. I would request all of you all to now stop sharing in the chat box anything and sit back and relax just for the next 3 to 5 minutes. I'll just share the screen again. Take a few deep breaths in and out and relax your body. A breath in and out and relax your body. As you can see, that once your body starts relaxing, your mind also follows the same. Your mind is getting relaxed. Relax your mind. Now look at yourself, the beautiful energy that you are. This energy is full of compassion and love for others and self. try to explore this inner core of yourself where there is absolute silence and stillness. And as you dive deep into your consciousness, when you touch this inner core, you start feeling very nice. You feel very calm and peaceful, and a sense of contentment emerges. And along with this, there is somewhere love hidden inside. And from this love stems the compassion which I have. And now visualize the Supreme Being, the Divine Light, as an ocean of compassion and love. And feel yourself having been connected with that energy. Feel the compassion from the Supreme entering your body. And see how does it feel to be loved and taken care of by the Supreme Energy Himself. What a beautiful and fulfilling feeling it is indeed. And with this wonderful feeling of compassion from the Divine, let's move on to the next activity, to experience that how can I take this compassion to my workplace and personal life as well. So with this, I would want to give it to Sister Anu. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj brother, for the beautiful meditation that we all experienced. I'm sure we all touched onto that beautiful inner core of compassion that we all hold. And as we saw in the video and we saw in the first exercise, we all were talking a lot about how we feel when we are compassionate to others or when others are compassionate to us. The fulfillment, the joy, the peace. Now it's action time. Like, how do we bring it to our action? How do you translate the compassion that you hold within in your actions? So we'll look at that. In this exercise, this is the action planning exercise. How will we give the gift of compassion to others? So for that, the question we'll all reflect on is, what are the ways at your home or workplace, in all your interactions, you can demonstrate compassion? What are the ways at workplace or home through which I can demonstrate compassion for others? So let's take 1 minute and please write it down, and then we'll love to hear from you, as Sister Pooja was saying. So first, let's write it down, and then we'll ask you to share. I hope you all have written. How will you bring that compassion out in your actions? So, we'll invite you to share. Can somebody unmute and share? Anyone who likes to? Of course, you can put on the chat box. So I'll start. Brother Manoj shares that being stable myself in any adverse situation is the greatest compassionate gift to mankind, which I can give to people at workplace or home, because that compassionate energy stabilizes them as well. You are stable and you share stability with others. That's compassion. Taking softly, talking softly to everyone. Yes, Anil brother, that's right. Sister Pooja says, don't waste food if not spoiled. Give it to the homeless. Gift. Linda says, demonstrating patience and kindness, being gentle. Seema says, accepting, appreciating, along with good wishes, pure feelings, and blessings. So many ways to give the gifts to others. Whether we know, not know, whether we talk, not talk, we can still give the gift of compassion, the feelings, gentleness, kind feelings. And we have in either Spanish or Portuguese. So we'll wait to get the translation. Anyone else? What are the simple acts? Even we can come to the real little acts that we do when we are interacting with others. How can you show compassion?
Es algo que brota de una manera natural. Uno se siente
Okay,
bien, fluye.
So Adriana, sister, I think Olga, sister, will translate and put it in the chat. So whatever you said, I hope Olga, sister,
es una manera que brota de una forma natural. Es algo que cuando...
That's beautiful. Yes, Sister Claudia, you are
y
here
es
to
una
rescue.
energía que fluye y que uno da, inclusive no
Olga sister has
uno no
already
se
put
da
it, Anu
cuenta que
sister,
está
in the chat
dando.
box. You can read it.
Okay, brother. So yeah, we have to be, Sister Claudia, you can say, I don't think, where is Olga sister?
Hermana Adriana.
Compassion is natural and flows. Yeah, we want particular actions if she can tell. But otherwise, let's go to other sharings. We have little time, so anyone else who is inspired to share, talk. Ikvinder sister says taking time to sit and listen to others. Yeah. Compassion is natural and flows. Understanding if someone lives in a hurry and leaves a mess around the house. Okay, cooperating and understanding. Help others. Help others. Ramba says caring for someone with love and patience when they are unwell or ill is a gift, compassionate gift we'll give. Listen attentively. Marilza from Portugal says, listen attentively and affectionately to the elderly in the family, parents, grandparents, even if they talk non-stop, do not interrupt them, listen to them. People need to share many times, so we have to listen. That's compassionate gift. Gita says, appreciating and accepting dormant qualities, his strengths and abilities when I hear rude words pouring towards me. So if somebody is rude or at the moment not very calm, peaceful, we can still see the dormant or there are other qualities that is there. So focusing on that would be a compassionate gift. Also again, from Portuguese, Aguida says, take care of people respecting their limits. Take care of people respecting their limits means we have to know others have a capacity or behavior pattern or we call sanskars, and we have to be mindful or accepting of that. So limits at home and take care of everyone's food and well-being, giving understanding and true love. I think true love would be another workshop we have to do, right? To understand what is true love. Harpreet says, be in the present moment, stable while filling others' needs. So Harpreet does that at home, takes care of everyone's needs. That's a compassionate act. Rachna says, practice forgiveness. Harpreet says, with love, caring, and heart, do things for others. Again, Om Shanti sister says, share the space. Someone may want to watch sports and I want silence or listen something else. They will reciprocate another day. So we have to let others do what they want to do, even if it's opposite of what I want to do sometimes. That's a compassionate gift. I think we want to hear from maybe one or two sharings. Anyone who would like to unmute and speak? We have so many participants today. What is the compassionate act that you can do or you do at your workplace or at home? Yeah. So if not, we know that let's take this experience and move forward. We have a lot more to get from this workshop. So maybe we'll wind up. If Deepak Bhai, you can show it on the screen. Let's see what we got for compassionate acts. Being stable yourself, you share stability to others. That's a great gift of compassion. Talking softly, don't waste food, give food to others. Demonstrating patience and kindness, accepting and appreciating, and give good wishes, pure feelings and blessings to others. Make a habit to consistently checking up and seeing the view from other perspective and wants and needs and fully going through and helping them out. Cooperate no matter what is their perspective, understand and help them. Taking time to sit and listen to others. Take care of people, respecting their limits at home, and take care of everyone. So caring for someone with love and patience when they're unwell or ill. Practice forgiveness, being loving and having a caring heart. Share the space with someone who is wanting something else or who is very different than me. So that's really beautiful sharings. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Deepak Bhai, for putting together everything. So I think Manjit says, I'll just read it from the chat. Everyone understand everyone and accept them as they are. So with this, we'll wind up and I'll hand it over to Brother Manoj.
So thank you so much, all of you, for your amazing sharings. You know, the best part of these workshops is I enjoy doing these workshops. Why? Because sometimes it pinches me inside when I see so many compassionate acts or gifts by different people, and I feel, oh, am I really able to do those? So it inspires me to do them. So that's what we learn from each other's sharings. Okay, and before I forget, I can see many new participants today actually. So if you all want to be a part of these workshops in future as well, if you all can please share your WhatsApp numbers and emails as well, so that whatever PowerPoint presentations we are doing here, we have a lot of content which is shared by our senior speakers at Brahma Kumaris, and also Sister Dipty will be sharing in the next 15 minutes. So we'll be sending you what we call the review materials in the email subsequently. So if you can share your WhatsApp numbers and emails in the chat box either to everyone, or if you're not comfortable doing it to everyone, you can send it to Vidhi sister. You can just find out Sister Vidhi, scroll in at V and Vidhi, you'll find out. So she takes care of all these emailing work for us. So thank you so much, all of y'all. So let me now start sharing the screen, and next 15 minutes what normally we do is, we had this talk, as Pooja sister already told you, by a very sweet brother all the way from Australia. And I feel we could not have found another better speaker rather than him for this compassion, because you can see his face reflects full of the energy of compassion. So let's see what he had to say. He said that for all around, I mean, for all of us, compassion we can understand when we are facing various natural disasters, war around us, the COVID, and when there's a lot of pain and suffering. So we naturally tend to have compassion. But what he said is that the biggest problem is we have lost compassion for each other, and particularly, I must say, for our family members, because we very well know their personality traits, their behaviors, and then somehow or the other, when you start becoming so familiar with each other, we call this the virus of familiarity in spiritual language, then you start losing compassion because you feel, oh, this person is like that. Then when the moment you say, oh, he'll never change, or he or she is like that, that itself shows that compassion has been lost for that individual. So global compassion is very, very common, as I mentioned to before, because we can see the pain and suffering of people all around the world. But what about this compassion at home with each other? So he said, he tried to define compassion. Basically, he said the most important definition which I liked is, I've written it in bold, it's an active desire to eliminate the suffering of others. And again, coming back to the situation at home, it doesn't apply to home, because as I said, that we know about the other person so much that the energy of compassion doesn't flow out. So I think from today's workshop, try to make it a point that something or the other we can practice at home, so that it helps in maintaining our compassion towards our family members as well. He said, understanding the core suffering of people and through the fundamental expression of love, because all these values basically are a sub part of a main virtue. So I think the main virtue which all of you all have touched is love. So loving kindness and compassion is not a part of our practice, but it is all about practice. That's what Buddha said, because all of you know that his teachings were full of a lot of mercy and compassion towards not only human beings, but towards all the other living creatures. Also, compassion is offering non-judgmental love towards each other, because and it should be unconditional love, I must want to add to that. And when can that happen? The seed of it is only when I connect myself to the divine, this deep love for God or the supreme being, whatever you want to call him. The more I am connected deeply, the more I can exude that. And he also said that a person who is humble can be compassionate. So we need to check that if we are egoistic, I'm checking myself right now as I speak about this. So sometimes when I deal with my patients, a superiority complex creeps in, because I feel I am the doctor and this is a patient he or she doesn't know, and I deal with kids with kidney problems. So sometimes that ego comes in between, and then I feel it is a big interruption for my compassionate energy. So we need to understand, we need to be humble, and it's then only that compassion can really flow from me. He covered a beautiful aspect of oppressors and oppressed. So he said all of us have compassion for the person who's suffering, the oppressed. But the one who is oppressing, the oppressors, I mean to say, do we also have the same amount of compassion from them? And he mentioned that if the oppressors are doing something wrong, then we need to actually have more compassion for them as well. Because as you know, Christ said, O Lord, have mercy on them or forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. So same thing Brother Charlie said, that the law of karma is whatever wrong acts they are doing here, they don't know that they have to pay for it in future. So I, as a background detached person, I must be able to actually have more compassion for the oppressor as well. And here comes the very important point, that this true state of compassion can only come when I am detached. In Hindi, it's a beautiful word we call nyara and pyara. So nyara means to be detached, and only when I am detached, then I'll be able to love, that is pyara, and my compassion will flow. Now I would request all of you all to pause for 5-10 seconds on each of these questions, because Brother Charlie asked us these questions. So ask yourself, does compassion have limits? It's for some, not for others. As I told you before, not for ones in the family, but for other ones outside. Ask yourself, check it. Am I compassionate more for the poor, but I feel why should I be compassionate towards the rich and elite? They have everything. So again, I'm being a bit biased. My compassion is conditional, based on some condition. The one which I already covered, am I compassionate for the oppressed and the oppressor equally? That's the word. Or I feel, oh, the oppressed needs more compassion and the oppressor doesn't need at all. So let's check that. Is my compassion selective? I think I touched this before as well. Familiarity. We know people and then we keep their weaknesses in our mind, and the compassion is immediately blocked. I don't even need to think further, because if I think about their weakness, it blocks my energy of compassion. A next very important topic we'll touch soon in the slides. Does my compassion exhaust me? And this we see more common in the medical profession, in the healthcare profession, where we really deal with lot of ailing patients as nurses and doctors. Do we undergo this what is called compassion burnout, or something also called compassion fatigue? Brother Charlie covered that. Next is, he said, is my compassion condescending? Which means, do I look down upon people, oh that I am someone superior and I am giving to you because I have everything, I am full of compassion. So is it condescending on the person in front of me? Is my compassion based on any guilt? For example, I have done some mistake and someone is hurt because of that, and then in retrospect I am trying to be compassionate because I know I have done this mistake. So it's a guilt conscious and compassion emerging from that. Next, a very beautiful one. How do I talk to myself in silence? Is my language not very good towards me? Am I compassionate towards the self? We need to check that. Brother covered that as well. And lastly, is my compassion these three things? Judgmental? Is it selfless? Because true compassion is selfless. If I have some selfish motive, I really can't be compassionate. And free of the need for name and fame. That I am doing some donation, some compassionate act, but in the back of my mind, I need some name and fame, I need some recognition from people. So if this big list of 8-9 questions will help us to evaluate how is my compassion, the quality of my compassion. So where does compassion begin? Brother said it begins from the self. And the moment I realize that I am this beautiful self, I am not the body, the ego will start dissolving. Then I won't be full of self, what we call ego. I'll be full of self-respect, what we call in Hindi swaman. And once we have self-respect, self-compassion becomes easy to develop. Sorry, I won't be reading each and every slide in detail because I want to give you the gist of all what he has said. I will see how much we can cover. And that's what he mentioned, that all of us basically need to connect, or rather reconnect first to the inner self and then connect to the supreme divine to fill ourselves with compassion. Because if my vessel inside, the inner core, is empty, how will I be able to radiate compassion? So particularly I feel as healthcare professionals, I don't feel drained now because I've always fill myself early morning in the meditation and I keep doing that in between. So I keep filling myself, so the drain out or burnout doesn't seem to bother anymore now. Seeing the beauty in others is also the greatest gift, as I alluded to earlier, that once we start seeing each other's weaknesses, compassion is blocked. So we need to make sure that we start seeing the virtues of each other, the good qualities, so that the energy keeps flowing. And he mentioned about compassion burnout. He mentioned these 4 ings, INGs. I'll cover that. He mentioned that in a group, when we are sitting, So the first thing is forming, which means we introduce each other. So that's very superficial. We don't know much about each other. Second stage is, or maybe I should not say second, third, but the next stage is storming, which means when we start, if I can request, yeah, I have to mute you all because it is disturbing. Just a moment. Yes, so I think I've successfully muted you all. Pardon me for that. Oh, I don't know. Someone again coming up. Okay. Let
It's
me
okay,
just do
brother.
that.
I will change the setting. No worries.
Yeah, I have done it. Fine. Thanks. So, the second thing is storming. That once we start interacting with each other, we come to know what are the differences of opinion, and there is a storm inside. So, after forming, then it's storming. Third stage would be norming, where we start accepting each other, we know what is our difference, and then that becomes the norm. And finally, more important is performing, where he mentioned that we should be a level above all, that don't look at each other with that this one is so and so, not at the role of the person, but look at it from the soul consciousness vision. And then we are able to go beyond all these labels, and then that universal connection of we being a part of each other as family comes in, because that's what it is. One of the byproducts to love God is to have compassion for everyone around me. So if we do this, then I don't think compassion burnout will interfere. It will be an alien concept for me then. So forming, storming, norming, and performing. And Brother Charlie's quote was, the more I feel loved, the more I feel belonged, and the more my compassion grows. So with this, I have a few more minutes. I'll take a few questions which he was asked. A very famous question, and always very, very controversial in our conferences as well when we do such workshops. Difference between empathy and sympathy. So I think all of you know empathy is wearing the shoes of the person, feeling the person's suffering. Whereas sympathy is just to acknowledge, yes, I know that you are suffering. But again, very important, empathy should not drain you away. You should be totally detached when you're feeling someone's pain. Then sometimes as a doctor, a question was asked that how do I develop compassion for patients who disregard my opinion or advice and just go doctor shopping for even a second or third opinion. So I mean, they don't respect me for my opinion, for my medical advice. How do I really develop compassion for such people? So he said the simple answer is see the soul. See that the person in front of you at the divine light in him. See that divine light. See him as a soul. Develop the soul conscious vision, and that will take you away from all these odd behaviors which he or she is doing. And that can only happen, mind well, soul consciousness, when I am able to connect to the divine, connect with the supreme being. I'm sure Sister Dipty will throw more light on that. How do we show compassion towards those who do wrong? A very common question. So the first question we need to ask is, why are people doing wrong acts? Because they are under the influence of ego. And again, the same thing, the oppressor and the oppressed. So they are doing some wrong acts, they are the oppressors. So again, let me remind myself of karmic philosophy and have more compassion for them on the contrary. And let me develop that spirituality, the spiritual consciousness, whereby I go beyond all these whatever acts they are doing, and just on a soul to soul level radiate compassion. Lastly, if we help people on the basis of compassion, are we interfering with their karmic accounts? So it's a big no. Obviously, we are not interfering with anyone's karmic accounts. On the contrary, we are easing out with whatever problems they have, and we really cannot change the destiny of other people. But if we are doing loving kindness and compassion towards others, we are actually building our own account, in the sense we are accumulating a lot of goodness in our account. So we better keep doing that rather than stopping it. Okay, so I will just stop sharing, not the screen, but let the screen be on with Sister Dipty. And if I could request Anu sister to please spotlight her for everyone as well. Thank you, Anu sister. And I'll just sharing myself. Yeah, so before I pass it on to Sister Dipty, she is a facilitator in her own accord, and we are so fortunate that she is with us for the first time all the way from South Africa. A brief introduction about her. Sister has done her Bachelor of Arts from the university in South Africa, and followed by that she's got a higher diploma in education. So she's got a lot of Laukic education background. And what I feel is, I mean, I contacted her and she immediately said yes. So her facilitation skills are indeed a big tool for encouraging people to come back to their inner core. And Sister Dipty basically is in this knowledge of Brahma Kumaris since the past 36 years now. And she's the coordinator at the Observatory Center for Brahma Kumaris in Johannesburg, the capital of South Africa. And much to my surprise, I must say, when I was looking at her biodata, I was really amazed to know that she has served as the national coordinator for the Living Values program, which was an educational program. I think it came from England, London, which is our international coordinating center, and she was the one instrumental in South Africa for conducting all the programs through that. And interestingly, she's also the youth coordinator and also coordinates the activities of the IYF, the International Youth Forum. And she performs a part of the core team for the International Youth Development Program. And she has conducted so many workshops and so many talks. I'm not going in those details, but just now I'll just finish this and quickly speak both the poem on compassion and on her together. So Sister Dipty's name itself suggests that she is full of divine light. I hope you know that Dipty is related to light. So full of divine light, taking the energy from Supreme, she sparkles and shines very, very bright. Today, on developing compassion in life, she'll give us her insight so that our every action is filled with full of might. That in turn helps us to battle our weakness with a victorious fight and help carrying on our daily task with love and light. Finally, our life will then become perfectly alright when we start loving the self, wearing the seat belt of life tight, not loose. So, with this, thank you so much, Sister Dipty, for accepting our humble invitation to be a speaker for this. And with this, I would pass it on to you. Over to you. Thank you.
So sorry.
Thank
I
you.
think all interpreters, you have to unmute yourself, because I think when Brother Manoj muted, everybody mute. Now it's all ready. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, Manoj Bhai. It was a beautiful session for the hour, just unpacking compassion, and it's something that's very close to my heart. So I heard so much, and I really appreciated Brother Charlie's input. I have learned a lot myself from Brother Charlie and his dharana and his ability to put things into a very real way so that one can understand it and work with it for the self. So it's a beautiful moment to continue this journey with such profound sharings by Brother Charlie. So when I was thinking about the word compassion, and as you also heard that my background had been in education, so some of the examples that are going to come up this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are, for me it's 5 o'clock now in South Africa on a cold winter's afternoon, but it's a nice heartwarming feeling to be with all of you. So there were 5 words that I was introduced to when I was working with the Living Values program. And first, these words came up to me in a way as an educator, and I thought, well, this is something lovely to use. But as time went by, I really integrated them into my own life. I worked with it on myself. I worked with it with the people I live with. I stayed very much aware of it in my school environment. And then when my spiritual journey deepened, I very deeply found how these 5 qualities made me feel so whole. And when I look at these 5 qualities, they, for me, fall under the energy of compassion. And I think compassion has unpacked itself for me in a very, very practical way with these 5 qualities. And I'm sure those of you who may have been introduced to living values may have heard these qualities, but have created a very meaningful space in my life's journey. And these 5 qualities are that each individual needs to feel loved, understood, valued, respected, and safe. And I allow these words to echo for myself because these words are very, very powerful and they can activate very powerful energies. And yet at times we can use these words and say, well, that's nice to hear. But I think over the years, I really took the time at a very honest level to work with these. And in my journey with values, my deep inspiration and support came from Dipty Janki. During the time when the program just started, I was very much encouraged by Dipty Janki, who we very fondly still deeply remember as the head of the Brahma Kumaris and had just passed on, but I feel she's so present still in my life at a very powerful level. She had really encouraged me to work with this values process and had been of great close support to me. And I'll repeat them, Harpreet. Each one needs to feel loved, understood, valued, respected, and safe. And as I worked with these qualities for myself to just deepen the moment, I realized that they bring out a part of you that creates a wholeness. And this is the journey of self-compassion. I cannot be kind to myself if I don't love myself. And that love comes from a deep, deep sense of acceptance. I can't be anyone else, and I don't have to project an image that is not true about me. But a very, very deep space within my being of real acceptance. And for me, that's the first act of care and compassion for the self. Very often within life's journey, there will be many things that happen. There will be many waves and a variety of things that come along our journey. But if I don't truly accept myself for who I am, just the way I am, then my journey can't really grow authentically. In this journey of compassion, we need to be authentic. But if I am so influenced by all the energies that surround me, and there isn't a sincere acceptance of the self, with a deep sense of love and a non-judgmental energy. Sometimes we can think of certain things on our journey, and then there's quiet thoughts that can come into the mind that creates critical thoughts and judgment. They may come from an echo of a past moment. But that deep, deep feeling within the self that as I am, the way I am, my journey has begun. It's not a complacency. It's not that I've just settled to be something, but I've arrived at myself. And that from this point, I'm going to move forward. And so this first energy of love, and I think on a daily basis, in a very, very real way, we need to fill our hearts and our minds with this deep feeling of self-love. The second aspect is understanding. We've had many different journeys and we've had exchanges with many different people.
Sister, we are listening in Spanish. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's okay now. Yeah.
Okay. So when we look at understanding as well, understanding is a very deep space of compassion. You know? I remember Daddy Janki once saying very beautifully, how much does my heart understand the self? Do I understand me? Or there's a part of me that is still figuring it out. And I don't take enough time to unpack myself so that I can be with me. There are so many parts of oneself that at times we pack away and we behave in a certain way. And we think, well, that's me, what to do. But do I take time to understand me? There may be certain behaviors, there may be certain feelings that may come up. And the same way as we may deal with somebody else and we say, okay, talk to me. Let me understand where you're coming from. But how much do I do that for myself? How much do I take time? And I find one of the very practical tools, and this has helped me a lot in my spiritual journeys. At night, I don't go to sleep without journaling. It's an important part of my life's journey. And as I journal, I want to understand myself better. I want to understand who I am so that I can use the fullness of the capacity that I hold. You know, sometimes people say, you don't understand me. But I ask myself the question, do I understand myself? It's a great act of compassion for who I truly am. The third aspect of feeling valued. I think in the world, if you don't recognize your own value, you won't be able to offer the best of who you are. If a diamond doesn't know it's a diamond, it won't be able to shine its beauty. It will just think it's a stone. So often in life, there are situations that are people that may come along our journey. And as a result of that, we become self-compromised. We compromise ourselves and don't hold that self-respect. And that self-respect is not ego. You know, as we heard Brother Charlie talk about last week as well, it's a deep, deep space of acceptance, and particularly all these qualities that I'm talking about now, for me, they really get supported by God. How God really values me. You know, the other day, I think it was yesterday, one of my practices was just to feel that I'm a flawless diamond. I am a diamond at work. I'm work in progress, certainly, but I'm becoming a flawless diamond. And as I become a flawless diamond in that way, I can allow God's beautiful light to shine through me, creating beauty, so that I become clear and clean and like a prism through which God's beauty can shine. But if I don't value who I am, I can't allow truth and beauty to shine through me. If I really want to experience compassion, I have to have value for the self. And so it's a very beautiful aspect of journeying within the whole aspect. And then the feeling of respect. You know, if I really along my journey respect who I am, I will listen to the true needs of my being. Very often we say one thing, and if I do something else, there's a part of you that's going to say to yourself over and over, you always say these things, but you don't do them. And so when that begins to happen, it's like there's a part of you deep inside of you that's really not respecting you, because it doesn't believe that you do what you say. And then there's the fifth energy, and that's the energy of safety. And I find that it comes from a deep feeling of inner security. When you feel safe with yourself, you are real. Today in the world, when people don't feel safe with who they are, they have a lot of self-assertion, they have a lot of control measures, they have a lot of manipulation. They do many things to so-called protect themselves. They put on many masks. They have many images about themselves. But it's not something that makes them relaxed and comfortable and safe. Do I feel safe with me? Or there's a part of me that I'm not sure if something else about me is going to come up. So I find in this journey of compassion, for me, these 5 qualities, firstly towards the self, are very, very real. They help me grow into a space of real wholesomeness, to feel loved, to feel understood, to feel valued, to feel respected, and to feel safe. And you know, I often think in my own spiritual journey, over the years, we've had such beautiful mentors in the form of our daddies. And I think of Daddy Janki, I think of Daddy Prakash Mani, I think of Daddy Gulzarji. All 3 who have played a very vital role in my journey. How I have felt that their life was lived by these 5 qualities. And because their qualities were so clear and clean within the space, they had real self-compassion. And therefore, when you only have self-compassion for yourself in a real way, then you can have compassion towards others. I cannot offer deep, honest, sustainable compassion towards any other person. There will still be an expectation of a need if I haven't done the inner work on myself. And so I think part of it, Brother Charlie covered as well, and Brother Manoj summarized it, but I find for myself as well, along this journey, once I've deepened my own self state of being that is wholesome, I step back into my inner compassionate energy. Then it is from this space that I can be truly compassionate towards others. And so again, yes, these 3 words come up: sympathetic, empathetic, and compassion. And I want to just really clarify for me how this journey has worked. And so I have found over a period of time, when my energy got purified in intention, the compassion grew. So I may have in the beginning heard things, heard of people's pain. I may have seen a certain situation, and I acknowledged the pain and I acknowledged the situation. And from my heart, I sympathized with it. And then I grew a little bit deeper into that space. And I may say, I understand, I can walk in the shoes with you. And so I've deepened the experience of empathy, which is a good feeling that I'll walk with you. But I found that compassion is such a powerful space. And I loved once what I heard somewhere, and it said that actually it was this morning, I'm thinking about it, and I was listening to Sister Caroline Ward as she was doing our morning class. And she was just saying that when there's compassion, I accelerate movement so that they can heal themselves. And that acceleration of movement brings them back to their own truth and beauty. And I really loved that experience because it had been my personal journey, and there was a deep resonance of what I then experienced compassion to be. You know, I learned, especially in Southern Africa, working with children, particularly from vulnerable spaces. And as you heard a little bit of the introduction of Dipty, that she spent quite a bit of time with youth and in the education field. So I found that my journey grew within, and I had to purify this energy because I used to see children that came from really difficult spaces, and at times I would get so caught up. And I remembered that their journeys used to be such that I used to feel the empathy and I used to feel the pain. And how Brother Charlie said last week, that you can feel it, but there needs to be a level of detachment. And as time went by, I had to learn that. Because what begins to happen is that when there is a feeling that comes up, their pain that you see awakens some pain in a memory of your past. So you may say that I'm helping, but because it's created a resonance with something in you, you've stepped into it, but you haven't stepped in totally to serve them. You've stepped in because that's a need in you as well. And so that space has not been 100% clean space. And we see how these days, many people, as their journey grows, they'll tell you that, I used to help many people. But the reason I helped them, because I also had a desperate need inside. You know, there was a mother at a children's home, and she was the house mother. And she was saying how everyone used to say, oh, you're so loving and you're so caring and you do so much and your compassion is great. And one day she and I were talking, and she was saying, I don't know how much of this is actually just for the children, but actually I'm in desperate need of love. I'm in desperate need of attention. I'm in desperate need of all these things that I'm offering to these kids. And so it's not a one-way thing. I'm feeling that as I'm doing this, it's feeding me. Now, if that happens in the beginning, it may be fine. But then if your children that you are looking after outgrow that, and they're not reciprocating that love and they're not reciprocating that care, then you feel frustrated. And then your expectation grows and say, I've done this for you. I have given all this love. I've given you all the support, but now you ignore me. So if that act of love and care came from a need that wasn't just only towards others, but actually a need for the self. When the need from the other side stops, you can feel a little bit vulnerable. And so I need to check as well, when I say I care for you, I love you, I want to do something good for you, how clean is my space? You know? And I find that very often connected with that, I become a rescuer. So I step into moments and I'm rescuing moments because it gives me a high, it makes me feel good, and I feel good. But this kind of energy is not sustaining over a period of time because situations go through their whole cycle. People go through from their birth to their growth, then they reach a point, and then a new cycle has to begin. Nothing lasts forever in that way. So if my so-called compassion is coming from that space, there will be a time where I'm going to feel vulnerable and feel frustrated and feel that it's not reciprocated. But that is why this third level, which we call compassion, compassion comes from a very pure heart space. I am in my self-respect. I feel loved, I feel valued, I feel respected, I feel safe. And it's from this space that I want to accelerate movement in you. This is what God does for us in any case. And I often think about my own journey and I think how God has accelerated movement for me in my journey in such an amazing way. He's never rescued me, but he has often made me grow. You know, there's one thing, actually at times it felt like rescued, but God's way of supporting me is so sustaining. And I think, you know, the word in Hindi I often think about is karuna, you know, that deep, deep compassion. I know these words were used quite often during the time of COVID as well. You know, Karuna and Karuna, Moini Didi, one of our wonderful teachers as well, shared a lot about that. And just that feeling that I stay in a high space because I've done the work on myself. I know I have God's support. God is sustaining me. And I'm doing the work on myself. And it is from this high space that I then can accelerate motion for you. So it's a very beautiful space. I often think about it and think how this journey is such a sustainable space. And really, when there's this kind of compassion, then I'm looking at the person as a whole. I'm not just caught up in the event. I'm not just caught up in the situation, but my compassion comes from a deep attitudinal space where my heart is generous and my heart is full of love. And I see a need and I accelerate that need. And when I mean need here, it's not about just doing things for people. Because beyond the obvious, there's something more that's happening. So when I can hear beyond that, I can see maybe the soul has a need for love. Maybe the soul has a need to feel safe. Maybe the soul's need is to feel more respected. So I'm hearing beyond the event. I'm seeing beyond the situation. And I'm responding to that need. That is real compassion. Because sometimes people don't even realize that their need is much more deeper than what they're screaming about. and what they're noisy about. And I need to be a compassionate listener. I'm going to invite you for just a few minutes of silence. You may hear some music in the background. So let's think about this moment of compassion, of accelerating movement. Yeah.
Shake the dust from the stars tonight. Light a candle in my hand. Together maybe we could change. Gift of silver become the gift of gold. Deepest secrets will unfold. Night is shattered by the rising sun, and all the earth will sing the same song. Breathe on me, breath from love. Wrap the broken pieces of his heart. Find the voices, make them still. Hold the shadows back and I'm tired of fighting, words stood in my head. And all the dreams we lived unsaid. The sun is rising, now it won't be long till all the earth will sing the same song. Breathe on me, breath from life. Shake the dust from the stars.
Some of you may have wondered what this was.
Light a candle.
But at all our Brahma Kumari centers, we have a beautiful act of compassion, self-compassion, and that's called traffic control. So it's 5:30 here in South Africa. And so that music that you heard in the background was just to take a moment for the self and arrive back to the self and invite the beautiful presence of God and allowing God's love and light to shine on you and through you into the world. So thank you for joining me with that. But just that, really that feeling as I was talking about is really when I have that kind of compassion, I'm able to operate from such a space that is beyond the situation and beyond things to a very high space so that I can journey and develop as a whole. And one of the things that I find that is important in the journey of compassion is a peaceful mind and a loveful heart. I can't really know my own need or the need of another's or also God's presence in my journey if I don't become peaceful enough. That peaceful energy is a very silent energy that listens. Yeah. So I'm sure Manoj Bhai will put this traffic control on somewhere so you'll know about it. But it's a very interesting space that I can't really practice or operate from a space of compassion if I'm not silent inside, if my mind is not peaceful. Yeah. It's a very beautiful space to know that let me first create space. And it's creating this very peaceful space within my being. And then allowing the love that is already inside of us. Each one of us is actually a very loving being. It just maybe sorrow and life's experiences that made us grumpy or closed in or all these kind of limited energies that may have stopped that love. Our love is very deep and real. When we feel loved, we feel healed, you know, really. And so to allow that love to come out, love is there inside of you. For so much of your journey of life, love has been your friend. And so keeping the mind peaceful and the heart full of love is the method for compassion. Yeah? And just then, from that, I'm able to operate in a space. But then another quality that's needed so that my compassion is clean and supportive and sustaining is to be merciful from a very knowledgeable space. You know? I think one of the things that I have learned in the Brahma Kumaris at a very deep level is how mercy can be so empowered when it's based on truth. And in our teachings, one of the most beautiful things that I have really appreciated is God's mercy for us is He gives us true knowledge. And so even in this journey of compassion, let me not bypass truth and wisdom, because otherwise emotion takes over and I can get carried away. And so let me have mercy. Let me act in that space that is filled with wisdom. And that means when I'm really helping someone, I'm really empowering them, and I'm not making them dependent on me. I'm not making them being carried by me in that way. And when I'm able to do that in a very real way, then I'm strengthening them. I remember a few examples, and I want to give you real examples at this point in my journey. There was a young child that was in my class, and he came from a very difficult situation. So he was very delinquent, and he used to cause a lot of trouble at school. Was very, very difficult with many of the educators, and his energy was extremely disruptive. And I remember watching this child, and I kept saying to myself, what is his real need? What is this need of this child? And let me step in from a space that is genuine. I don't want to just rescue this moment. What is the real need? And so one day when school was over and I sat on the playground and I knew he's around there. He was about a 14, 15-year-old young boy. And he looked at me, and by that time I was already a Brahma Kumari, and he knew that I meditated. And he came to me and he said to me, why are you still sitting on the grandstand? You must go home. I know you live in the center where many people need you. Why are you sitting here? Go home. And I looked at him and I said, because I want to give you some time. I want to be with you. And he said, me, I'm not valuable. Go home. Other people need you more. And I could feel that there was a deeper need. And in South Africa, many of the children I've worked with, their names actually mean many values. And because you may not know him, I can't say his name. And his name is Tembani. And Tembani means trust. And his middle name was Prince. And I remember I kept saying to him, I trust the prince in you. And he says, no, 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 I'm not a prince. Leave me, I'm not a prince. But I had to change my attitude to have a higher vision for him and not see him with his disruptive behavior and not see him with all of that. And as I got to know him, I realized that one of the reasons for his disruption was since a child, he never came from a real functional home. He lived with a single parent mom. And over a period of time, the mom spent half her life in hospital. She was a sickly mom. And this child was just purely neglected and needed love and attention. And I knew that if he was given that kind of support, he would become someone, because a bright, intelligent kid. But to know that I couldn't rescue him, I had to feed him with wisdom from a space of genuineness. And so with the teachings of the Brahma Kumaris, holding a high vision for him, always using his name and saying to him, I trust the prince in you. Just constantly elevating him through my attitude. And yes, putting certain structures physically in place, because you can't just do everything mentally. You have to create certain physical structures so that you create certain boundaries in which you can help. And so that mercy comes from a state of wisdom as to what I can do. So that over a period of time, he was empowered. The compassion came in an empowered state. And I remember, to cut a long story short, one day I met him years later, and he said to me, you know what, ma'am? I am the prince. I found the prince in me. And it was just such an encouraging moment for me to realize that, you know, when we see somebody's sorrow and we see somebody's pain, I can jump in there and try and rescue the moment, but it's not sustaining. I need to empower in such a way, and that mercy that I offer to that individual has to be in such a way. And then as I journey with that mercy, I have to make sure that I don't hold a past vision. You know, sometimes we go forward, but if we don't clean the past, it's like a movement that will pull you back again. And so in our journey with someone, when I really hold true compassion, I hold such a high vision of them that they have the power to release their own past. Let me provide such an atmosphere for a human being that they feel so loved and nurtured and safe, that in their growth, they have the ability to pass through their past. You know? So, you know, these stories are so deep, so I'm just also watching time. And so just that deep experience. And I remember something that came up very beautifully once that I had learned, and I had learned this from Dari Janki, and she shared a 5-step process, and I worked with it. I used it in my own life, and I found it was such a beautiful process. And she was saying that in order for that compassion to really work, firstly, there should be kindness. And so today we were looking at kind acts, you know, things, and I've seen it in our organization as well. What do I do physically, whether it's for the self, whether it's for others, whether it's for the world, as kind acts? Maybe it's not wastage, maybe it's not creating violent moments, maybe being a good listener, but I do things as an act of kindness. And so that's my first step, you know. I found, like, even in the Brahma Kumaris, I saw when there was a drought in Mount Abu. They didn't just say, oh, well, let us have good meditation and Daddy Prakash Mani at that point of time made such a plan that there was tankers of water that came up the mountain and not only take care of the needs of the organization, but of the residents of Mount Abu. So certain times you have to act. You have to do things, but not stop at that moment of act. After that act, there needs to be empowerment. And that's really the mercy. And it's like that knowledgeful state with which I operate from. So sometimes what happens in our compassion is we just act, we do good. But if my goodness is not filled with empowerment, then I lock that person in my kindness. But I need to have such mercy that I lift them. And then the third step that he talked about is having blessings. And, for me, it's like really having this good wishes that may you be this, may you be this. It's like the heart is filled with good wishes and pure feelings that I see the highest in you and I believe in you and I hold this vision. One of the beautiful energies that I learned from the Brahma Kumaris and has worked a lot in my own life, and I felt it even from the Dadis, was this energy of good wishes and pure feelings. Often Daddy Janki used to say to me, do you feel my good wishes is working on you? And I could feel it. I know how much along my journey, it was like the highest vision that these souls held, even God held for me. That was like my blessing every day, to feel I'm blessed. And then the fourth aspect is then to offer current. Because sometimes people they know what they have to do. They know how they have to change. But in that moment, they don't have the strength inside. So if I have a connection with God, and if I feel that I would love to share these vibrations that God sustains me with, then I take that energy and I hold that individual also in God's presence. I don't have to give them my current. They need God's current, because what God can do for them is incredible. Yeah, God's current is like a laser beam that reaches deep, deep within the soul. So it's a very beautiful feeling of just knowing there's kindness, there's mercy, there's blessings, there's current. And when these four operate, then my compassion for another individual is whole. So many beautiful aspects there. And I really loved recently when our sister Mohini, I think at the end of a month ago, she was sharing about compassion. And she shared something which I worked with very practically in my life as well. And she said, if you're a compassionate listener, listen what's the real need. And so it was something that I had been working with a lot for myself, for others, and also if I say I want to show compassion to the world, then beyond all the words and beyond all the variety of energies I may be exposed to really ask the question, what's the need? What am I? Listen beyond and in between the words to the real need. And if that's the need, you can rise to and serve, then that's compassion. And I loved it. I really did this work on myself and worked with the space, and it was very, very beautiful. So Manoj Bhai, I'm just watching time. I don't know, must I do questioning now, or it was, yeah, what you heard was just things of my heart and being taught by such wonderful souls like the dadis and all these beautiful sustenance from God Himself. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I would just want to take one question. Someone was eager to ask this. What is the difference between love and compassion, if there is any?
For me, love is the seed and compassion is the expression of the seed. So for me, that it is, I can't express compassion if there's no love. So you have to have the seed of love within you for the compassion to be expressed.
Great, wonderful expression of your uh, of the I mean, between love and compassion. Right. So I would now request Sister Claudia, who's the center coordinator all the way from Vancouver, to please propose the vote of thanks. And I would request other people not to leave because we'll have a group photo shortly after this. So you can leave after that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Dipty. It was so nice. I really enjoy, and I took lots of notes. So it was very nice sharing. Thank you. I'm sure that everybody enjoyed today, and thank you for being with us. You were with us for the first time, but probably it's not going to be the last time because we really enjoyed today your company and your sharings, all your knowledge and values and everything. So thank you very much for being with us today.
Fine. Thank you so much, Claudia, sister. And I'll just quickly share the screen and tell you of our upcoming events. I won't take time. So here we go. We are all celebrating our very first administrative head of Brahma Kumaris. That's we call her affectionately Mama. So the next episode is all about simplicity, which was a quality she exuded all the time. And it falls right on that day after Mama's Day of Remembrance on Saturday 25th of June. We are very fortunate we have two speakers with us. I'll tell you the reason why two. It's a bonus for all of us. I'll tell you on that day. Let it be a surprise for the moment. So we have Santosh Didi, who is a very royal and simple soul, director of Brahma Kumaris from St. Petersburg, and also the joint regional coordinator RC for the Russian and Baltic region. And also another very simple and humble sister, Sister Deepa, all the way from Mumbai. So we'll be having the pleasure to listen to both these very simple souls speaking on simplicity and right on next to Mama's Day. And after that, as all of you know, we have once a month retreat, silence retreat. So this month it's on compassion. So please be ready on 26 June for the same. The timings we'll notify you, but it's morning times for India and 8 to 10 p.m. late evenings for the west coast of US and Canada. And as always, followed by the talk, we have the workshop on simplicity. Another simple and pure soul with her sister Manda, who actually looks after the activities of the GRC, the Global Retreat Center in Oxford, which has apparently started functioning soon now with all bhattis taking place over there. This will be in July, Saturday 2nd. And I may not forget to announce this because we were not able to cover the power talk last month because of Chandru sister's funeral at the same point of time when we were supposed to have it. So we are having in the month of July two powers we are yet to cover. The first one would be power to discern or discriminate. It will be on Sunday 3rd July, and we have with us another sister, Sister Sharona Stillerman, who is the director of Brahma Kumaris from Israel. And this is our elegant calendar, thanks to Kosha sister for devising it. This is the one in India times, and we'll send you the one in Canadian times and the emails. But we are getting so many people from different parts of the world. I feel we have to have calendars in all the different time zones. If it's possible, we'll do that sometime later. So I'll stop sharing here, and if I can request first all of you all to put your video cameras on so that we can have a photograph with Sister Dipty, and then we'll go in the meditation mode after we take the photograph. So over to Anu sister for the photo. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Dipty. We don't want to miss to have our photo with you. So everyone, you can open up your video if you haven't. Okay, so right now, one more page. We have so many people today. Yeah, got the picture. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Anu sister. And then let's move into the meditation with Sister Dipty on compassion. And I'll play some soft music in the background. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Thanks.
So once again, I invite you into a moment of stillness, allowing the mind to become peaceful, and allowing the heart to awaken the love. I step deep within myself and become centered in the experience of this peace and love. I, the soul, am the child of God, the ever benevolent one, the one who holds true compassion. With the power of my mind, I journey to that source of pure love. This is a light of love that knows me, understands me, and accepts me for who I am. I allow the rays of God's light and love to shine on either soul. I accept that love. I absorb this pure energy. And in the still moment, in the silence, the heart feels full of love. In the connection with the divine, in the silent moment, with the generosity of my being, I allow God's energy to flow to those around me, into this atmosphere and out into the world. Compassion. The world needs compassion. It is love that gives birth to compassion. So I hold God's love. I allow that love to grow. And the compassion creates a healing energy for the world. Bringing back to lives a feeling of safety, a feeling of being understood, a feeling of being valued and respected. I continue to draw from God's pure energy and let this light and love sustain the world. I hold this energy powerfully. Love, mercy, forgiveness. I allow these energies to spread into the world. O divine being, I stay connected to the source, for it is only in this space that true compassion can go into the world. Om Shanti.
So thank you so much for the splendid experience, and immense gratitude to all the translators for their tireless service, and all the way thanks once again to Sister Dipty from all of us here.
It's a pleasure. Our traffic controls were determined to be part of it. So if the music came on at
It was a beautiful
time?
sitar music, yeah, it was nice, but yeah.
Yeah, it's our 6 o'clock traffic control.
6
Yeah.
o'clock, yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Manoj Bhai. Thank you for the
You all.
team. Om Shanti.